I'm looking at the world as it is. I'm looking at the position the government has painted itself into after 30 years of inflation, and I'm saying that as an act of economic desperation, they will one day devalue the dollar and renege on their promise to foreign governments to pay 1 ounce of gold for every $35 turned in at the Treasury. And that when that time comes, that there will be various dislocations, that some individuals will be hurt and some will profit from it.
If in the next few months or years there were to be a severe inflation of the mark or Japanese currency or the pound, we would relatively benefit and may not have to devalue. Isn't that correct?
Well, the inflation would have to be so severe, it would have to be almost run away on a quite wide-scale basis in order to get the government out of the position that it's in now, where there are 4 times as many short-term claims against the gold in the Treasury as there is gold to back it up. And in a case like that, the changes that would have to take place to make this avoidable are almost impossible to conceive of, because if all that inflation went on in those other countries, you would still assume that no more inflation would be going on in this country to further aggravate the difference that exists now between the claims and the gold to back it up. So you'd have to premise your question with supposing we stopped inflating in this country, which to me is an absolute impossibility politically. And for other reasons, I don't believe that inflation is going to be stopped. I don't believe that it will even be slowed down to any great extent. I think that there has been nothing suggested, nothing done whatsoever that would indicate that there is going to be any attempt in that direction. And if they did stop the inflation, then in my view, this would bring on the depression, which is already inevitable, but it would be the catalyst to start it right away. So then we'd be talking about another crisis.
Where Mr. Browne left me in particular, and you seem to be indignant and worried about it, you said that we might renege on our promise to foreigners to pay them $35 an ounce, right, as promised.
I didn't say we would. I said the government
I meant,
would.
yes, I meant the government.
You can include yourself in if you like.
Well, an earlier statute freed me from involvement as an American citizen in dealings with gold, and I'm just as happy to be relieved of the opportunity. But what do you think gold is worth at the dentist's chair in a free market?
What gold is worth at the
What
dentist's
it would
chair?
be worth at the dentist's chair
Well, if you're
in
asking
a free
what
market.
if you're asking what a dentist can buy gold for, then
No. What it would be worth in the free market, or put
If
it
the price
different.
went pegged.
Yes, exactly. Why is gold, what is it that gives a $35 price to gold?
it isn't that a $35 price has been given to gold. It's that the government has printed paper money and said that if you take this money and use it, you can turn it into the Treasury and get $35 for it. There's a difference between that and the price of
Are you
gold.
confusing the hamburger dollar available to us nationals within the sovereignty here with the international dollar, which is related to gold?
Every foreigner who accepts American dollars does so on the premise that he can get something for it eventually,
Now
that
we're
he can
getting
utilize
someplace.
himself,
Now you're
that he
being-
can go and buy things for himself in his own currency, take it home, give it to his family or whatever.
Point
No man
one.
ever does anything in this world in terms of production or sales unless he thinks he is going to get something for it that he can use himself.
Toscanini would say, andante.
Well, you asked the question. I
Yeah,
thought
but
perhaps you might want an
I
answer.
wanted the answer.
Of course
I
not.
got the answer. I got the answer. First off, these foreigners don't live in economies that are quite that free because they're not allowed to take our dollars into their own countries. They've got to turn them into their own central banks for their own local currency.
What country are we talking about now? Say England?
England, Sweden. Where are you going with dollars inside Germany? You give them to the central bank and they give you Deutsche Mark, even if you're a bank, you see.
You mean you're saying that there's statutes that require you
Yeah,
to turn in
and
your
regulations. In other words, it isn't as if we're all folks playing Russian roulette with each other. And inside the United States, we've got a hamburger dollar.
But when a man gives a
it's not-
dollar to his government as a result of that statute, what does he get back for it, and
Local
what can he
currency.
do? And what can he do
Local
with that
currency.
local currency?
Well, that's a
What
local
you're
matter.
saying is there are no consequences, as I understand it. You're saying there are no consequences of the value of the gold backing the dollar, because a particular individual along the chain of exchange has been prevented
No.
from
Let me-
redeeming that dollar for gold.
Let me tell you what I am saying after I first make a point. And it's quite clear that no one before the public has been more critical of successive administrations in these matters, so I'm not speaking for anyone. First off, it seems to me that we would have a right to declare a national holiday the first time any Secretary of the United States able to find his way to his office on a clear day during working hours pulled off a deal that helped the United States vis-a-vis its trading partners. That would be an overdue day, because I'm waiting patiently for an arrangement in which we haven't finished fourth. Secondly, if we want to come now to what I am saying about gold, a subject, as I say, which I do not view with the alarm that I view other subjects, such as the stock market, or liquidity for American businesses, or the unfunded condition of our government, or the inability of governments in America to get money, to name just a few. The price of gold, in my judgment, for what that judgment may be worth, is the monetary equivalent of peanuts. And peanuts, literally, under our political arrangements, have a market price which is in fact the market price set by the 4 senators from the 2 Carolinas. If they say the government will buy peanuts in surplus from farmers at X cents or whatnot, that's the price of peanuts. Now, if the United States government were to say, we will stop underwriting these tin horn speculations in the Zurich market, which I think would fit into about half of this carpet as to contour, or if it would say, well, we'll take gold at $20, that would be the price. And it wouldn't be the end of the world, and it wouldn't mark the beginning of any new arrangements. We are in so much trouble, I suggest, that you will do the cause of the alarm you are trying to sound responsibly. You will do your role as a Paul Revere a greater service by getting off the gold kick, because nothing of any consequence, in my judgment, is going to happen as to gold.
Mr. Browne.
Mr. Janeway, you fascinate me. Not only
Best
are
offer I've had all day.
Not only are you an economist, but you're a mind reader and a psychiatrist. And the most interesting questions to me right now may not be that interesting to the audience. But I am dying to know what I am upset about, and I am dying to know what it is, what alarm it is that I am sounding.
Dear
I'm dying to
me.
know what I'm a Paul Revere about, because...
Well, I've looked at your book. I can't say I've studied or memorized it, but I've read it, and it makes my various sounds of alarm and sources of worry seem smug, Rotarian. I think you're an alarmist. I think you are saying...
Mr. Browne, let's hear your description of what you are and what it is that your book attempts
very bearish, very pessimistic,
say.
Much more so than I am.
Well, in the first place, I think there's probably very few people listening to this broadcast that aren't quite uneasy about the state of affairs today, for whatever way they define it, whatever way they see it. These people are wondering...
You're not listening to this broadcast.
I'm doing my best.
I should clarify that I didn't mean because they were watching this broadcast, but just because they exist in America today. These people are wondering what they can do to put their affairs in such a state that they can be relatively protected from these great unseen things that the economists keep talking about and the commentators keep discussing and don't make a bit of sense to them because they're in a language that might as well be German or French for all the sense that it makes to the average person. The book was not written to alarm anyone. The book was simply written for those individuals who would like to know what they can do by better clarifying the problem and better understanding what an individual can do to protect himself so that he can go to sleep at night and not have to worry about running out to the porch in the morning and seeing what the paper says to see if today is the day that the axe fell. And that's all the book is. And as a matter of fact, I don't consider myself a pessimist at all. I think I have my affairs in such order now as a result of doing the thing that is in this book, that I don't have to worry about things. I don't have to be alarmed.
Well, you can be a pessimist about other people and not about yourself. I mean, you can be sure that you're going to heaven, but still be pessimistic about other people going to hell.
But I don't know, not really, because that's other people's problems and not mine. And
you mean to say so long as you personally survive, You are indifferent to whether other people in your community survive?
I'm not indifferent because I'm aware of it. But if I were to take on the task of saving the American people from the economic disaster that I see coming, it would be a hopeless, futile, frustrating effort. I would have one chance in 5 million, whereas if I take on the task of saving myself, I've at least got an even chance if I simply just face up to the problem and do something about it.